So 5.56 or 7.62, which one is the best? Which one should you get? Folks, this is Fernando doing another video for the Modern Survivalists, and yet again going into this long debate. It's been going on forever. Well, at least it's been going on since the 5.56 NATO has been adopted. The idea of, no, I want to have my 7.62 NATO. That's where the real power is. And for the longest time, that was kind of settled. The idea that no, the idea is that you have a lighter cartridge, you can carry more ammunition, this is more than enough, and we have lighter weapons, they have less recoil, smaller frame soldiers can shoot it better, it is very accurate, it has so many more advantages. We go with 5.56 NATO over 7.62. Done and dusted. The debate had been settled. And then comes the U.S. military with its SIG Spear and its 277 Fury cartridge, and people are questioning this yet again. I actually saw, I think it was Military Arms Channel, or, well, it's one of the big gun channels out there. The host was questioning this and actually claiming that he's going back to 7.62 308 because that's the more versatile gun for him, and that's what he's going for. That's going to be his new standard round. And I think it's fantastic. I think it's perfectly valid, the reasons that he gave, the idea that he uses guns more for hunting and dispatching animals, and it's still a great gun for self-defense, and you have more power, and all of those reasons are very valid. So let's talk a little bit about that. So which one should you go for? Which one is best? And here you can easily take that way out of saying, well, it depends on what you want. Best depends on the circumstances, depends on the needs. And that is a valid starting point. And I'll go that right away. If I need to deal with little prayer pests, I want to have 223 5.56. That's the kind of varmint round that was specifically designed for that sort of thing. 223 started actually as a triple deuce, 222. That was the 22 caliber powerful round that would hit at longer ranges, specifically for vermin, for very small prayer dogs, those little critters that are very far away, very small. So you need a small projectile that's very accurate and hits hard at a certain distance. That's how this started. Then it became the 5.56 223, stretching that little cartridge a little bit more in its performance, but still limited to what it actually is, right? But it was clear that it is enough so as to stop a human being. It has been done, effectively so, for quite a while. Now, it was always there in the back of the mind of pretty much everyone that knows anything about guns. This is just more powerful. This is 3 times almost the weight. This is the same velocity, but giving the mass, you're talking about twice the energy in your 7.62 308 compared to your 5.56 223. So while this is enough, bigger is always better. More is better. More powerful is usually what we want to have. But if it's going to be something that's going to be compromising on our weight carry, our magazine capacity, the weight of our guns, then probably it's still a solid argument that this is the way to go. This lighter platform, I mean, I've never been a fan of the AR in general. I think that in terms of design, it is very much lacking, and it has had a number of fixes over the years. And these days, this debate is still ongoing in terms of direct impingement gas. Oh, it's great. No, it's not. Well, you have more proven, more reliable systems, and eventually, even though this is supposedly great, you end up going back to the old tried and true short the system that you have in your AR that was what? Your short stroke, short piston. Well, you still see what's going on now with your SIG in your SIG Spear. Basically going for this kind of gas system that just fouls the chamber a lot less, and it's adequate. It's a good idea, especially when you have more of everything going on in there. You have a bigger round, you have more powder burning. Why would you go with a system that is more questionable when you have something that has proven to be cleaner, more reliable at the end of the day? But going back to the cartridge, specifically for us in terms of survival, preparedness, are you really moving all that much? Do you need to go so lightweight? Is it that much of a difference? And yeah, I guess it is. I mean, still, till this day, when you see special forces, when you see tactical units, they usually end up going with some kind of AR platform. It may have a little bit of a different gas system. It may not be direct impingement. It may be going for a short stroke piston system or whatnot, but it's usually some kind of format around this. And in 5.56, all right, you may go for one round or another, but this is supposed to be enough. Now, I still will try to make a very strong case for if I'm in a fixed position, if I'm not really moving all that much, I'd rather go for a semi-automatic 308. I've said this from, I mean, in my book published almost, it's going to be like 15 years, Surviving the Economic Collapse, I explained just this, that even though this is more than adequate and you're perfectly armed with an AR and 5.56, I would rather have a semi-automatic 7.62 308. It is just more powerful. And when you think about it, for most cases in which you're dealing about home defense or homestead defense, you're in a fixed position. You're not really moving a whole lot. The extra power may come in very handy. I don't know if you've done this before yourself, but if you shoot at a typical, a foot wide brick wall, you may need like 5, 6, 7 rounds of 5.56 to punch a hole through it. With a 308, 2-3 rounds in the same spot, it will leave a significant gap. It will leave a hole, meaning there's no more cover. The same applies for going through cars, going through small trees, going through any kind of barricade, punching through material. It will be a lot better. It will do it with a lot more authority if you're using 7.62 instead of 5.56. But in a fixed location, in a specific spot, you're mostly going as a defender. If you have to be fast, if you have to be quick, agile, there's still a lot to be said about your tiny little, poodle shooter, your little M4 and 5.56 in a 14-inch barrel, something like this, which is very lightweight. It is still probably the way to go. If I have to move around, if I have to go light, I will go with this over the FAL, even though I consider this a much better design, much better platform in terms of purely technical aspects of it, right? The versatility of this, how handy it is, how lightweight it is, how much ammunition you can carry, all of those points are still very much on spot, and that's why the Spear will not be replacing the M4 anytime soon, right? I see why they go with that. I see the need for going through the newer ballistic plates and whatnot. I still question how much of a need there is for that. And given the kind of dealings we've seen with military contracts, probably it's 80% money, 20% realistic need of having a more powerful round. The 277 Fury, is it more powerful, better? Yeah, sure. But you go back to this. You're basically going back to a different philosophy. You're going back to a heavier, bigger gun that fires out more powerful round, which is something that we thought was left in the past. Well, history doesn't repeat itself, but it kind of does rhyme, and that's what you see. Now, wrapping up the video, what is the final answer? Which one should you have? As always, have both. If you can, have both. If you cannot have both and you have to pick between one and the other, I would still say that for the majority of people that are in a typical suburban case, the advantages of the AR, especially in the United States, are very hard to go against. It is so ubiquitous. It is everywhere. Ammunition is easy to find. Same can be said about 308 and 7.62, but this is probably still more than enough for what you need in terms of home defense. Now, if you're a little bit more of a isolated homestead, you're more in a farm, you may have to defend yourself from attacks that may end up happening in extended periods of time. There's not an exactly quick response time as you would expect in more of an urban setting where neighbors will notice what's going on. Police will eventually show up. If you're kind of like on your own, I would rather have a 308 semi-automatic if I'm on my own. If I have to defend myself South African style, I would rather have an FAL than an AR. This will just punch harder, make bigger holes, and whatever it hits, it will blow the crap out of it better than your 5.56 will. Okay, and again, for these guys, I think it was Mac that was making the case of, yeah, this for me makes sense because I mostly go hunting. This is more of what I use, and if I have to defend myself in semi-automatic, this will get the job done. It absolutely will. So I see his point regarding that, and I pretty much agree with what he says. Fortunately, you can have more than one. Fortunately, you can have your AR, your FAL, whatever 308 semi-automatic you want to go for, or a bolt-action little scout gun like this one in 308. You can have all of these. But it is interesting to make this mental exercise of which one would be the one. Yeah, that's basically it. If I'm mostly looking at defending myself in a specific position, I would rather go with the lighter gun. If I had to contemplate more the possibility of having to bug out, having to go more lightweight. If I have to contemplate maybe a scenario like the one in Ukraine, people fighting, moving, going for a very versatile, quick, agile little force, then yeah, go with the one that is more standardized. Go with the one that is more lightweight and still gets the job done, the AR. Guys, it's going to be all for now. If you want to learn more about survival and preparedness, specifically in terms of weapons, self-defense, street survival skills, the economic aspect is covered in Surviving the Economic Collapse. Links available there below in Amazon. See you in our next video. Take care.